43 p.m. And PM doesn't stand for Peter McKinnon. No, it's Johnny I Spy. I'm here on the fly. I'm here to get you high just by telling you why. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to sigh. And I'm definitely not going to say bye-bye. Because I'm drinking green tea. I'm not drinking chai. So here we go, folks. We are going to walk back in time again, and back in time, and we're going to learn more about transits and more about trends than you will get out of any bland and vague forecast from your general YouTube channel that wants to eat up all kinds of hard drives, giving you bland forecasts that absolutely might be wrong. Because my song is the Placidica house system, right? Tropical Placidica house system, unequal houses, exact time and dates, exact, no generalizations. So here we go, guys. Let's talk about accuracy. Let's talk about precision. Let's talk about precise moments in time. Let's talk about four individuals, four being that Cancer house, right? Four, that cardinal sign, four. That place of the earth, four, right? Four is the score. When we leave, we'll shut the door. And when there's the Beatles playing, we'll put our feet to the floor. That's the beauty of four, right? The most universal number in the world, four. Okay, so here we go, guys. Let's talk about the four. Let's talk about these cool guys that refer to themselves as Beatles, because they know that it absolutely has to be minus forking forever. Yes, super arctic cold to make those Beatles die. Okay, so here we go. They're not dying today. They're going to live on and carry a tune of divine nature in every way. So here we go, guys. What we have here is we have please, please, please be me, right? Please, please, be me. Please, please, me. Alpha. Yeah, this is the beginning. This is the absolute day. They walked into the studio in London and started recording their first album, right? Which is, of course, Please, Please, Me. Maybe they're part Scottish. So here we go, guys. Let's talk about what the Father's light. Yes, the Father's light. The chart is still 90% of the sun. Let's talk about the Father's light and what he will teach us about the nodes of fate today. Do they really work? Are they there? Are they really moving us along? I mean, what are these nodes of fate are all about? We don't want general trends. We want exact. What? Exact exchanges and exact perfectly right down to the tune. Every single note of the day is what we're going to say about these nodes of fate today, right? Good old Rahu and Ketu. So here we go. We're going to look at this. Please, 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 please me. September 11th, yes, it wasn't always a bad day. September 11th, 1962, we said, I decided, let's just say the studio didn't open up until 9 a.m. Let's say, that's what I said. Let's just say the studio opened up at 9 a.m. and just draw the chart for that. And when I did that, I said, holy cow, is there another time I want to pick? No, I don't want to pick any other time. Why do I say this? Because when we draw the chart for 9 a.m. in London, we have Mercury at 14 degrees Libra. And then we have, listen to this is so beautiful. We have the ascendant at 13 degrees 52 minutes, which wants to be, it's only 1 degree out, right, at 9 a.m. And for that degree to change, it's just 4 more minutes. So what if they walked into the door with their feet to the floor at 9:04? Because we all know it takes 4 minutes for the planet to move to 1 degree of the zodiac, okay? But still, what we're going to do here is we're going to look at these charts, and we're going to look at the first chart. So why did I decide to pick this one? So we go to the first chart here. Mr. Lennon himself, Mr. John. We're going to look at the sun. let me just blow this thing up, right? Look at the sun. His sun, look at the sun. His sun is 16 degrees Libra, but his node his mean node is 10 degrees, right? Isn't that amazing? 10 degrees, 34 minutes. So, everything is placing right where it should be placing. It's a true thing. So, we're going to look at some things here. But most importantly, through these podcasts, I'm gonna illuminate how it's these four guys, right? We can learn a lot about sharing from the Beatles, right? Because they were able to work together, despite all their egos. Despite all their egos, they were still able to hang out together for a fair amount of time and record successfully a beautiful selection of albums, right? And this is the first one. I'm going to show you how the Nodes of Fate worked in all their charts and how this Plutonian group was able to launch themselves as the supreme subculture, right? Counterculture. That's what they were. Now, just so you know, this year and how the Beatles tie in with this chart of superstars. These guys, holy cow, these guys, I can't even believe it. These guys started off, the three were known, if you scroll down here, down history lane, if you absolutely look at these guys, they were not officially the Beatles. They were first just a trio. And being the trio as they were, if you look at their stuff, they got together, they started playing as a trio in 1958. Yeah. Where did I lose that? I didn't highlight it. Foolish boy I am. But down here, if you go down here, through here we go. The core trio, Lennon, McCartney, and Harrison, together since 1958. Holy cow. Was 1958 a great year? Why do I say that? If I scroll all the way through my charts to the last chart, I pull out Mr. MJ himself and Michael Jackson. What do we have here? He's a 58 baby. Yeah. See how everything intertwines? And yes, the charts absolutely intertwine with Michael. Paul's chart and the others absolutely intertwine with his. So what we're going to do here, guys, is very simple, straightforward. We're going to know this chart right here. And we're going to look at his planets for John Lennon, okay? Because he's one of the ringmasters here. And what we're going to look here is we're going to look at this Pluto thing, right? He has a Pluto, he has a Chiron in Leo, he has a Pluto in Leo. This gentleman only has two locations on the chart that have that Leo influence. But there's that 4, Pluto at 4 degrees. And then we look at Paul's chart. Paul's chart has a Pluto at 4 degrees as well, but he also has a Mars at 2 degrees Leo. And then he has a Chiron at 12 degrees Leo. It's amazing how they all are. It's pretty wild, eh? So then we go to George Harrison. And George Harrison also is part of the Pluto bunch. He's got a Pluto, he's a little younger. So he's got a Chiron, he's got a node at Leo, he's got a Pluto at Leo 5 degrees. So this is the Pluto bunch, right? They are definitely, they have that Leon energy, high frequency energy associated that we have that Scorpio planet hanging out in a fire sign, right? And then when we look at Ringo's 1 degree Pluto. So Ringo, 1 degree Pluto, so he would be an older guy, right? Whereas he's 1940. Ringo's an older guy, but he is still hanging out with these youngins, right? Holy cow, look at that. But look, he's also got a moon in. Look at this moon. Ringo's moon hangs out with the other guys, and then he's got Mercury and Leo as well. Look at these planets. Look at these connections. See how these guys have all been tied together? On stage, the 4, Leo at 4 degrees. Now, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go back here like so. As I said, we're going to make this really quick. We're going to go Please Please Me. And we're going to look at the release date is March 22nd, 1963. Okay? Is this the album itself? Recorded. See, so here's the recording dates. September 11th, 1962 to 20th of February, 1963. Okay? I'm going to show you guys. I told you I got charts that link together with everything. Okay? And what are we going to look at these artists? What we're going to say here? What are we going to look at this? We're going to look at the North Node here. We're going to look at the nodes of fate. 8 degrees Leo to 8 degrees Aquarius. And look at the Saturn placement. Saturn is Aquarius opposed, right? Holy cow. And look at the moon. The moon is at 8 degrees Aquarius as well, you know? So we're going to look at that. And then this is when the recording was over. I'm going to say, hey, they hung out into the studio right until almost midnight. That's what I was saying here. And the reason why I said that here is I noticed how when I said this to myself, because they probably used as much of the studio time as possible that day. And they might have even locked the doors at midnight, right? But all the actual recording was done just like right before midnight, I would think, you know? I know how I am. You got to pull me away from something when I'm working on it. So here we go. This is when they and look at the nodes here. See the nodes have moved from Leo during the recording time. The nodes have moved from 8 degrees Leo to the end of the recording time, which is 29 degrees Cancer. 22. It's like almost, you know. It was yesterday. The day on the 19th, it was Leo still. All right, it probably crossed over sometime during that. You know, well, they take like 19. The node takes like 19 days or something like this. I can't remember the exact amount of days it takes to move through one actual degree. I think it's something like 19. I'll double check on that and get back with you. But you can look it up yourself, all right? Because you're smart too. Now, when we look at the release date, this is what's really going to love you, all right? Because the release date here is for midnight, the 22nd, right? You know, the first hour of the day. They know it's going to be released. It's done, right? It's just sitting for release. You're going to love this, guys. Let me get a drink of water. Clear my throat. Jupiter is at 26 degrees, 50 minutes, Pisces. That's where he's at for this release date. That's conjunct my moon perfectly, right? I have a moon that's like 26 degrees, 45 minutes, Pisces. It's a true thing. I'm not going to get about that. Look at the moon for this date right here on this release date. The moon is at Aquarius, and it's at 12 degrees for midnight, and it's perfectly opposed my Jupiter, right? Oh, my Lord. It's crazy how it works this way. But you see how the nodes are gone into this special 27... It's a trade over time, right? The sun is in a trade over period. I mean, the sun is absolutely in a trade over. You know, it's in that trade over period right there, because it's right there on the cusp. And look at the Virgo happening, or look at how all the Virgo retrograde happening here. But look at this release date. Here's Mars at 5 degrees Leo, right? Conjunct my sun, right? Look at Pallas Athena. It's actually Pallas Athena for this chart for the release date is actually like conjunct my Mercury, like under a degree. What is the likelihood of this? So when we look at this chart, look how the nodes have moved here, because when we're looking at John Lennon here, and we're looking at that node, all right. He's at that Pluto in the 5th house. All right, there is Pluto in the 5th house, and the node has moved through his 5th house. That's what the node is doing, all right? That's exactly what it's doing. Then we look at Ringo, Paul, Mr. McCartney. He's still with us, all right? Paul, Leo, all right? Look at once again, 4 degrees Leo. Where is that his? It's in. It's so ironic because when you have it, like when you actually look at his charts, you can see how he's got that correlation, right? Paul's a partner of John. I mean, they probably had turf wars, what have you, because how the planets said, because he's in that, he's got that 11th house of community happening. It's that Uranus house with these planets. The inventive nature with a Leo overlap, Sun and Uranus energy. Holy cow, supercharged, right? Uh, it's all electrifying, right? Their music is electrifying. They use electricity. Here they are. These guys paved the way for many, many, many uh, musical artists, musicians. So here we got George. George himself has a node. He has a Chiron in Leo, but his mean node is at Leo. And there his Chiron is hanging out with his node, his mean node. He's a mean person, no. And then you got the Pluto here, right? Look at this, Pluto, Leo, 5 degrees, right? And this is what's happened. It's the link of all. I mean, here we have the transit of the node is actually what puts all these artists together, and they're all willing to share. They're all willing to put their egos aside for a certain period of time in their lives to produce these works of art. This Venus, these Venus, this Venus activity, right? It's so clear, right? Can you see it? But look at this right here. Ringo Starr, his node is actually 15 degrees Libra, right? Which would be actually Mercury would have been moving right over, right? Mercury had moved right over, but conjunct the ascendant, and Mercury would be actually conjunct his node, right? Look at that. Right here, this is not his node. Where are we at? Where's the other guy's node? Yeah, right here. This is Ringo Starr, right? Look at this. Is that amazing or what? Pretty good. Now, what you're going to be tantalized with, because I mean, you could go further into this, but through this podcast, I want to keep them short and simple so they're not boring. You could go into in-depth studies and everything like this, but this is all node timing, right? Node timing. And when we look at Michael Jackson here, we look at his mean node is 24 degrees Libra, right? Then he's got a Pluto at 2 degrees Virgo. But he's got, what is he going to have that is similar to Paul, right? When we look at Paul, because he did a track together, right? We're not going to fight, are we, Michael? They're going to do a track together. They're not going to fight, they're going to do a track together. And so when we look at Paul and Michael together, we see, what? What do we see? Well, he's got a sun at 26 degrees. But remember, Mike's got that moon in Pisces, right? So he's got a mean node at Virgo at 7 degrees. Then he's got a Neptune in Virgo at 27 degrees. Right? And look at his Mercury. Look at his Mercury. His Mercury is actually squared, right? His Mercury is actually squared. It's funny, right? His Mercury is actually squared. Michael's moon, right? 18 degrees. And what's Mike's moon? What's Mike's moon? Mike's moon is 14 degrees. Pisces. But his sun is at 6 degrees Virgo, right? That's where Michael Jackson's sun is at. His sun is at 6 degrees Virgo. And what do we have? For John Lennon. I mean, not John Lennon, but Paul. What do we have? 6 degrees. He's got his Saturn. His Saturn is also squared Mike's Saturn's also squared Mike's sun, right? Look at this. There's that friction together, right? That's why Paul is telling Mike, we're not going to fight, are we? The girl's mine, right? And here we go, Mike. Mike actually, buys the rights for the Beatles tracks, right? It's quite interesting, eh? It's just like doing dishes. Yeah, it's quite interesting, folks, when you look at them all, how they all line up together. I wanted to keep this podcast quite short here. And my place is like the walls are paper thin, so you can hear the ruckus of the kitchen on the other side of the wall. But here we go. I'm going to let you go here. I hope you got something out of this podcast really quick here. I didn't want to take too long with it, but it's quite amazing how you could find these guys actually started playing together in '58. Mike was born in '58, and Paul eventually, as I said, as we know, Paul eventually did produce some music with Mike, right? I think the song was "The Girl Is Mine." Excuse me. Let me have some tea. It's really dry. The place I have is too small for a humidifier. It's just the way it is in Canada. We have one of the largest countries in the world, and we have no place to build houses. Got all the wood standing straight up and down, all across these mountains, but there's not enough wood to build houses. There's not enough skilled people to build houses. It's funny, isn't it? Most Canadians don't even think they'll buy a house in their lifetime, right? Holy cow. That's what happens when you live in a really rich country where all the money belongs to the government. They have the biggest bank. Okay, so guys, I'll let you go. And I hope you got something once again. Please me. Look at this album, right? Look at this release date. It is absolutely, look at the release date I have for Midnight. What is the likelihood that the ascendant would be 2 degrees Sagittarius? And my own personal, it's less than a degree out. My personal ascendant is 1 degree 55 minutes Gemini. Like when I pull the charts up, what's the chance? What is the chance that the moon be perfectly opposed? My moon is absolutely perfectly opposed my Jupiter. And Jupiter is absolutely, that planet of higher learning is absolutely conjunct my moon, right? And here I am teaching you, smarter than any other baboon, about how it's important to get. I've spent over a decade of my life reading generalized forecasts before I threw them all out and started. I threw out all the time and energy reading all these other astrologers' generalized forecasts to know that the only way to get a proper forecast is to go out, spend $100 on the right books, and look at your progressions, look at your transits first, and use the Placidica house system and recognize the town and the country that you're in and draw the charts for that town, right? Because for as long as you want to waste your hours listening to generalized or reading generalized forecasts, you're not going to get the astrology that I'm dishing out right here, because I'm showing you trends. I'm showing you how the nodes went over 4 individuals' charts I could do every single album, and I'm going to show you this. And how these planets, and how these individuals who have planets in Leo are the ones that are up on the stage, with the greatest rage. And it's not about putting people into a cage. I'll talk to you guys later, and I hope you got something out of this podcast, despite all the dishwashing.